Woodcraft, helping you make woodwork.
With the pre-mixed stuff, more than likely you won't have a problem with anything, but I just would stick with one and go to the other. You can put anything else over the top as long as it's a water base. You know, if you want to mix that way. Were you talking about actually pouring them together and mixing them? To get a specific color. Yeah. I don't see why you couldn't. They're both water-based products. I just wouldn't recommend it because that also has a clear in it where this does not. And you might have issues with your clear coat bonding, you know. But they're both water-based products. They're both milk paint. You probably could get away with it. Try it. Bottom line, try it. I mean, it's not going to hurt you any to try it. Yeah.
The stuff in the can really isn't milk paint. If you read about it, it's a fake milk paint. It doesn't rot like milk paint. Milk will.
It's a synthetic. It sours.
It'll go bad if you let it sit around. Whereas that stuff is really a fake paint made to look like milk paint.
Very much so. It's a modern day paint to mimic milk paint.
It's not like this.
This is the closest to milk paint you're gonna get. I mean, this only has about 4 ingredients in it, and that's what the milk paint back in the day had. And the biggest thing is milk. I mean, that was their binder, so, and pigments and a couple other things. But honestly, you probably could get away with it, but I don't know what, my concern would be the clear coat. And the answer to that would be test it out on a scrap piece first. You're not going to use a whole bunch of product. It's not going to hurt you. The nice thing about this is you can go layer after layer and do your aging and your antiquing with just different colors. So if we wanted to, say, put a white down first and then maybe a baby blue over the top and then our red and black over that. When everything's dry, you take a piece of sandpaper and you start working your corners. Corners were always worn down first. Always. You always work your corners first. And then a little here, a little there. Get all those different layers starting to come out. That's how you create that antique look. So you can do that. You can get that specific color by adding the pigments together before you add the water as well. If you had several different colors. That I would do in a heartbeat. But, you know, I would test that out. And I say that because I haven't done it. So, there's always a little bit, you know, it's like synthetic today is man-made chemical. You know, that's our modern-made milk paint. This is our old-fashioned, back in the day milk paint. So, takes about 4 hours for this to completely dry, 2 to 4 hours, depending on the environment. The thicker the coat, the longer it's going to take to dry. The thinner the coat, the faster it dries, but yet, again, you have shrinkage. There's a lot of shrinkage in this paint. That's why we say use a good, healthy coat. If you want that crackle effect, you can do 2 things. You can put that on really thin and have a really hot environment for it to dry in, and it'll naturally crackle. And then they also sell this crackle paint, which, same concept. It dries very quickly and it shrinks, and it creates that crackle. Before all of this was available in my world, we used to put a little Vaseline on it where we wanted it to come off. And then just when it was dry, we'd wipe it, and then we'd have that exposed wood look. You don't have to have a clear coat over the wood when you do aging. It is nice to have it, but you don't have to have it. A piece of sandpaper, after you get all the paint on, a piece of sandpaper, and being artistic will give you the easiest process to get to the look you're looking for. This is a naturally aged piece, obviously, where at one time it was all red. It's just time has taken it down to losing most of its color. And it's a little bit rickety, so put a block underneath it so it wouldn't fall apart. But is there any questions about antiquing?
So basically, what you have in the cup, you have some pigment. In this case, it was a black pigment,
Mm-hmm.
plus your milk base, and that's mixed 1-to-1 with plain water.
Right. See, this comes black. This is the black. So your pigment is within your.
How you want it.
Yes, we have all different colors, and every color that is in the milk paint is the old look of back in the day, the early 1900s. So your blue will look a grayish blue, you know, your yellows will look like creams, your whites will be a little bit off. They won't be a bright, spectacular white. Your black is pretty true to black, but it's a very flat black.
How durable is it?
Very, very, very. Once it's dried and the process is done, you don't really have to have a clear coat. It will be strong and last. What the clear coat does is it allows you to clean it better, easier. It gives it a little bit of a sheen, either satin or semi-gloss or gloss, whatever kind of shine you're looking for. And it does protect the wood a little bit, but the paint itself is very strong. Stronger than your today's latex.
That's considered an interior paint?
Yes, interior, always interior. When you get into the world of exteriors, it has to be very specific. Exterior, anything, clear coats, paint, anything. So, and that's the moisture that you get in the outside that you don't get on the inside, regular, and the weather. So, this very much is an inside paint. This can be used anywhere: cabinets, floors, walls, furniture, wherever you would put paint, you can use this.
It's always water.
Hmm?
Your cleanup after is always with water?
Soapy water. Soapy water. Yep, it works really well.
What if you want to change how hard it sands off?
Not bad. It's not as hard as you think it is. It's not like an oil-based paint that absorbs into the wood and you got to go really deep to get it off. It sands off fairly well, which is a kind of a weird thing to say after I said how strong it is. It is very strong, but it does sand very easily, so it's not hard. So when you're doing that aged look, and if you do layers of different colors, you'd be surprised how easy it is to sand it. And honestly, if I were to do another coat here, I would let it dry its full length, and then I would come back with some 220 or 320 even, just to hit the high spots down. And that also scuffs it to allow the next coat to adhere, better. Anytime you can give a little bit of adhere, so you do. But it's very strong and it lasts. It's durable. It lasts well. This stool obviously is not brand new, and there's still paint on it, and it's from the turn of the 19th century. So it's been around, and it's an outside. It's been around a while. It's an old milking stool, so it's kind of tall for that, but that's what my mom on her farm used. So that's kind of it's been in the family a while. So let's talk about clear coats a little bit. With this milk paint, they recommend waxes mainly as your clear coat, which I thoroughly agree. This bry wax here, and again, they come in different colors, so if you want to add another color to the spectrum of colors that you're sanding through and aging and getting that multiple look, you definitely can get it with a colored clear coat as well, and those pamphlets I handed out kind of tip a little bit on that. But this world is all about creativity and individuals and what you guys are looking for. You mess it up the first time, it's not hard to get back on track. It's very easy to be very creative while you're doing it, and do little bits at a time. You can always sand a little bit more. If you get a little carried away right off the bat and you sand too much, then you're having to paint again. No big deal, but you're having to backtrack.
How do you use a mineral spirit to see a can of mineral spirits in there? How is that used?
Yeah, I was just getting there in the clear coat. Nice little secret that I've had forever that I'm finding out more people know about than I thought. You'll read it in the pamphlet. I was shocked it was in the pamphlet. Wax comes out very hard to manage. It's very thick and it's hard to get a nice, even, smooth coat. So if you take, half a cup of wax and throw in a 2-second pour of mineral spirits, mix it together, it thins down the wax and it allows you to use a chip brush and brush it on instead of having to use an old towel and really work hard at getting an even coat.
You can use that for other applications too, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
Wax and mineral spirits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mineral spirits is used a lot. Actually, it's not just a paint thinner, but it thins clear coats. It actually is in the automotive world a lot. That's what their parts cleaners have clean with mineral spirits. So it'll cut. You know, if you got dried paint on your fingers and you just can't get it off, that'll get it off. Yeah. The only thing about mineral spirits, you don't want to clean a lot with it because it leaves a little bit of a residue behind, and I don't like that. When I want something clean, I want no residue, no dust, no contaminants at all. And this, you know, they say it's okay, but keep in mind, it does leave a little bit of a residue behind. So I try not to clean with it. Yeah. Lacquer thinner is much better to clean with because it dries so fast and it dries contaminant free. Where this will leave just a little bit of a residue. But you thin down that wax, and again, it's all about just putting a little in, mixing it up until you get that right, you know, that consistency you like. You're not going to overhit it, or it'll be too thin, and you'll know. I mean, that's common sense. So, you know, just start with a little bit and just keep mixing it up until you get to a good brushing consistency. And you put that on after you've done all your painting, you've done all your sanding, you've aged it, you got the look you're looking for. Then you come back with your bry wax, and again, it's in a lot of different colors. You can add one more color. So no, I don't. I just paint it on and I leave it. When I do multiple coats, I'll paint it on, and then when it's dry, I will scuff it. But I've never buffed wax ever. But a lot of times I'm putting wax on. I like to use a cotton t-shirt or, you know, an old towel. Brushing definitely will get the job done. So
does the dry wax create that extra antique look?
if you use the color to add to the colors you've already put on, it adds to the antiquing. But it also gives you a clear coat finish, which the most important part about a clear coat finish, if you dust, have you ever dusted something like this? It's terribly hard to do. It's impossible. So with a clear coat, it allows you to keep your piece clean, dust free. If you don't use it, the paint itself is like a chalkboard paint. It's difficult to dust and keep clean. And bottom line, you're going to be dusting it, so you want to make it as easy as possible, at least I do, to keep them clean and make them last a long time. So it's a process you don't want to keep doing every year. So unless you got another project, but I personally wouldn't want to do this every year on one piece. You know, do it, finish it. It'll be done for a long time. And the second nice part about wax is, and I am not a great fan of wax, but this bry wax I actually really like. If your piece seems like it's drying out after a couple of years, wipe it down with water and a towel and come back with some more wax, and it's brand new again, like you did it yesterday. You don't have to sand it, you don't have to strip it. You know, it's a very easy process to just add a little bit more wax. And the wax, it's all about how much you put on the first time and the kind of environment that piece is.